Hi, this is Heidi, counsellor, psychotherapist, specialising in working with and supporting young people and young adults. If that's you, then this is your podcast and you're welcome. We are all fine, flawed, insecure, nervous and emotional. I aim to work with our flaws, insecurities and anxieties and make them our own rather than something we dread or avoid. A new week awaits us, so what have we got to look forward to? Well, I'm actually recording this in April 25, so it's Easter this week. A little bit of time off for me, bit of a time to reset and recharge. So let me know what you're doing, chilling, revising, I guess, eating too much chocolate. It's episode 8, and I know this topic will be familiar with many of you. If you are more worried about other people's opinions than your own, have difficulty saying no and seek approval from others rather than from your internal self, you may well have some people-pleasing tendencies. So stay tuned and let's take a deeper look into why this has developed in your personality and what you can do about it. Let's look at how a people pleaser would behave. This person most definitely would fear rejection or failure, and that's probably been rooted in early relationships. Perhaps they've had a parent whose love was conditional, or they've had to have earned their parents' love and affection rather than just being given it naturally. There's a chance the parent was unavailable to them emotionally, or the parent's availability would have been inconsistent. Seeking approval and validation from others is an absolute hallmark trait of a people pleaser. This person will want reassurance that they matter to the people around them, and they won't look for validation from within. They'll seek it elsewhere. They'll want to be recognised and accepted by everybody. And for the most part, if that person will feel well liked, they'll relax and start to like themselves too. There are more women than men that actually fall into this category, because women are largely humanities caretakers and they're taught to be more passive, less aggressive. Plus, a people-pleasing woman will not likely be labelled as high maintenance or difficult, so would rather bend over backwards than appear fussy or difficult. Now, I'm not telling you here not to be kind or supportive of others, of course not, but let me point this out to you. There are some differences between being kind and people-pleasing, so listen to this. Many of the people-pleasers I've worked with are some of the most warm, caring and empathic people, and these include my clients and friends, which makes it difficult to discern whether their generosity comes from a place of people-pleasing or from a place of being just kind. I know I've dropped everything to help my friends or kids over the years, and I've done that from a good place, from a place of kindness and care, rather than wanting that person's validation. At the heart of it, the difference between kindness and people-pleasing lies in motivation. People-pleasing is driven by fear, and kindness is driven by a genuine desire to help. I'll break down the key differences between people-pleasing and kindness and share how you can figure that out. Kindness is rooted in desire, so I intrinsically want to do this for you, and it's rooted in choice. I could say yes or no to this, but I'm choosing to say yes because I want to. Now, if you're a people-pleaser, it's going to be rooted in fear. So you'll be doing this because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't. And you'll see it as a transaction. I'm giving you such and such, so you can give me such and such. And that transaction usually gets wrapped up in safety, attention and love. Or if you're coming from that people-pleasing space, you'll be doing it through obligation, i.e. I'm going to be doing this to avoid feeling guilty. So there's going to be a release of emotion for you. But if you're people-pleasing, you're avoiding rejection and have a really strong desire for assurance. And you cannot get that validation you need from inside yourself, so you have to seek it from external sources. You'll measure your worth with the opinions of others. I look back on life and I can see how I've developed my people-pleasing traits. I see a version of myself that was always eager to please, to be needed and to be liked, to get that attention. I would sacrifice my own needs and my own values, which is really dodgy territory to be going into, in order to gain the acceptance and the approval of others. It was really hard work and I was really tired most of the time. It takes up so much energy because not only are you constantly thinking about how to make sure others are okay, you're constantly avoiding the conflict and the fallout when it doesn't go your way. I recognise so much of my energy went into trying to be something I wasn't, and I could not fit in. It corroded my self-identity, and I became a very flaky and wavy version of myself, which obviously caused more anxiety and to depression to rock up and take situ in my world. I've learned to like myself more over time, so I've learned that the feelings of other people aren't that important, but it took a lot of time for me to get to that place. I really hope by listening to this podcast today, you can decide whether or not, okay, this might be me. Understand if it's coming from a place of kindness or obligation or fear, and then you can make some changes. I'll share those in a few moments. But let me look at some of the common traits of people pleasing, and can you relate to any of these? In my opinion, working with people over the years and myself being a people pleaser, traits that you could have are going to include some of the following. You're going to have a really low self-worth. We talked about that in one of my previous podcasts. You'll accommodate everybody else's needs and you'll undermine your own. This person will go with the flow, so they won't make decisions. They'll be happy to be dictated by others. Probably too agreeable in general, I'd say, and will absolutely not assert themselves and rarely ever say no. It's always, yeah, I don't know, up to you. What do you fancy doing? I'll go with whatever you want. The people pleaser will feel a sense of value and worth when they do comply with others and they've met other people's needs. They'll be driven by a satisfaction from desiring that, and they'll value praise from others. Big one I hear, always saying sorry when they don't have to. And they'll definitely take the blame when it's not their fault. This person usually will have quite low self-awareness, and they'll always make excuses for the faults of others. Yes, but they might have been treated terribly, and I might challenge them and go, well, how did that feel? And they'll go, yeah, but I understand that person was tired. That's a real red flag for me. It's the yes buts. Now, in my view, 2 impacts of the people-pleasing tendency on your mental health are this. 1, the challenge to express your own needs and boundaries. You're not going to be able to do it, and this will lead to resentment and conflict. And the second impact, and this is probably, I would say, one of the ones I come across a lot with young people, you're going to struggle to maintain healthy relationships, as you're more likely to attract in those people who will take advantage of you and your accommodating nature. There has to come a time where you stop crossing oceans for people who wouldn't even jump a puddle for you. We'll just pause here for a question for a counsellor. The question came from somebody who's recently lost their nan, and I could sense they were very close to them. And the question was, how do you start to process grief? Firstly, I will just pass on my deepest, sincerest condolences to you to read about this loss. I did get a good sense of the closeness and the bond that you had with your nan. So to lose this is going to be devastating for you. Grief is such a heavy and heartfelt emotion. You've lost somebody so close and so dear to you, and there's a total sense of lack of control at this time because there's nothing you can do to bring that person back. But let me share a few suggestions that I'm hoping are going to help. For me, acknowledging and allowing your emotions is crucial. Grief is a natural response to loss, and it's important you allow yourself to feel the pain, the sadness, the anger, or any other emotion that might be arisen in you here. Don't try to suppress or avoid those feelings. Be with them. They're a normal part of the grieving process. I really genuinely believe talking to people, friends, family, support groups, there are plenty of organisations out there that can help provide the comfort and the understanding that you really will need right now from people who've been through something similar. By reaching out and talking to people like this, you connect and you remind yourself you're not alone. This will help process your emotions. Taking care of yourself, your physical and emotional well-being is super important. Trying to rest when you can, trying to eat. I know that's not always going to be possible because your stomach's going to be in bits and churned up, but making sure you can at least remember to engage in those things you enjoy. I know that sounds trivial and really quite hard, and there might be some guilt around, I can do this that I like when this person can't. But it really is about taking the time to be patient with yourself and getting the support you need. Grieving does take time, and it will be unique, this experience, to each of you. And it's okay to have the good days and the bad days, or the good minutes and the bad minutes. But really is important to be patient. And something that might feel a little strange because you feel you need to get over this or move on, maybe don't. Remember the loved one. Finding the ways to remember and honour that person you lost can be such a brilliant way of processing your grief and maintaining that connection. It could involve writing your journal, telling stories, or listening to music that reminds you of them. Shedding your tears is part of the process. Try not to shut that down. Welcome back to this episode 8, We're All Fine, a podcast for young people and young adults. And if you're keen to change the way you communicate with others and stop people pleasing, which we know comes from a place of fear, then you need to listen to these tips. When you're looking to change anything about the way you behave, you need to make sure you do these 2 things first. Firstly, be more self-aware, know what you're doing and why, and then secondly, make small changes. The emphasis here is on the word small. Take small steps to reinforce and practice your new way of being. By doing these 2 things I've just suggested, you're setting yourself up for success as well as managing your own expectations. Anything about yourself, any behaviour can be challenged and changed. You just need to approach this process and it will happen. Always believe that. Okay, my tips for you to start changing this people-pleasing tendency. Number 1, establish boundaries. It's important to know your limits, so establishing clear boundaries and then communicate those limits is essential. Being clear and specific about what you're willing to take on. If it seems like someone is asking far too much of you, let them know that. It's over the boundary and what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do to be able to help them. People will respect you more if you do this. Now, this leads me on to point 2. You have to prioritise you, your own needs. So set your goals, identify your own goals and priorities. They have to come first. You'll do this by practicing self-compassion, treating yourself with kindness and understanding, even when you do make those mistakes. Accepting yourself for who you are with interest and curiosity is the only way through. Engaging in self-care, so taking the time to look for those activities and the things that nourish your body and mind, is essential. The third thing you need to do is understand the importance of being genuine and authentic. You should be able to act authentically and real and connect with who you are and what you value instead of always doing what others want. So sit for a few moments and think about what are those values that make you you, and do not deviate away from them. You need to learn to let go as well. If you're stuck in the past and can't let go of those things that happened to you, chances are you're accepting what your abusers, bullies, or other negative people in your life have believed about you, and you'll remain trapped in them, never able to access your full potential. Learning to let go is a fantastic thing to take to therapy as well. You can tell your counsellor that's what you're looking to do, and they'll help you with other strategies and facilitate that journey for you. And one other tip, developing assertiveness skills. Now speak up, express your thoughts and feelings clearly and respectfully. You don't need to be unkind, remember, and learn to negotiate. Find ways to compromise and reach agreements that respect your needs as well as others. There are things here you can sort of be reminded of. Learn, and please stop over-apologising. Recognise when apologies are unnecessary and avoid those excessive apologies. They actually run out of power. The more you say, sorry, the less effective that is. It doesn't carry any substance at all. Catch the word as it leaves your mouth. This will take practice because you're trying to undo learnt behaviours. It'll be hardwired in you to sorry. It will just come out of you. It'll be a default mode, a defence mechanism. It'll be autopiloted straight from your brain out of your mouth. So please take the time to set the intention to stop doing that. I've recently just made a TikTok actually about every yes you say to others is a no to you. Please go and watch that. That's going to help you as well. Let's end with a therapy thought. People sometimes confuse assertiveness with aggression, believing that becoming more assertive might make them pushy or inconsiderate of others. In fact, assertiveness can be thought of as a middle point between passivity and aggression. Passive behaviour occurs when you focus on the needs and desires of another person, but ignoring your own needs and wishes. In contrast, aggressive behaviour will occur when you force your own needs on others. So assertive behaviour will involve expressing your own way of seeing things, but in a way that is respectful of the other person. Although no one can guarantee that the other person will like what you do or say, assertive behaviour will require that the other person be treated with respect. And assertiveness can help not only those who tend to be overly passive in interpersonal situations and relationships, but also help those who can tend to be overly aggressive. You might come across as a little bit aggressive or passive and not mean to be. So the middle point is finding that assertive place for your communication to start from. If you have liked what you've heard today, please tell others and share this episode. If you've loved what you heard, rate the show, and all your feedback, always welcome. I love hearing from you all. My email, HeidiWeAreAllFine@gmail.com. That's HeidiWeAreAllFine@gmail.com. Please come and connect with me on email, via TikTok, Instagram or YouTube. And don't forget to send your questions in for episode 9. Join me next week. We're going to look at your attachment styles that you've developed, which will influence how you relate to others, especially your friends and romantic relationships. This is going to be a great episode and a real eye-opener for you to allow you to understand why you might attach to people the way you do. It's all going back to your influences from a younger age. I'm inviting you to subscribe to my podcast, which is easy to do. Come and find me on all the usual social media platforms. There's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We are all flawed, insecure, nervous and emotional. But always remember, be yourself. You are no one else. Have a wonderful, restful Easter. Until next time, you take good care. Finally, some important takeaways. The podcast is for informational use only and should not be used as a substitution for professional advice or any personal diagnosis. These opinions are personal and I do not guarantee the accuracy of such opinions or information. I am not intending to create a counselling relationship with you, and you should always consult a qualified mental health professional with any concerns.